Good morning, class. We are going to have a comparative study of the male reproductive system and female reproductive system in human. The male reproductive system is a urinogenital system because the ducts which are concerned with the urinary system is linked with the genital system or the reproductive system. What way they are linked? The ducts are acting as common passage for the urinary system and the genital system, that is the reproductive system. In male reproductive system, you have seen this is a system of many ducts. This is making the system complicated. You can see two glands are shown here, prostate glands and seminal vesicles. Seminal vesicles and prostate glands, which are the accessory glands which are shown in the reproductive system. Prostate glands and seminal vesicles release some fluids which is helping the sperms to transport easier. That is, it is providing a transporting medium. Prostate glands and seminal vesicles. Where are these glands release their secretions? You can see the seminal vesicle here. It is releasing the fluid into this duct, and prostate gland is also releasing their secretions into this duct that leads to urethra. So here is a combination of two fluids, prostate fluid and the seminal vesicles fluid. Same time, you can see a pair of testes. You have already learned the male gonads. They release sperms or spermatozoa. The sperm cells are released by the testes, and these sperm cells also reach through duct that is called vas deferens or sperm duct. It reaches the urethra. So you have seen here the secretions from prostate glands, seminal vesicles and sperms released by the testes together form a mixture of fluids. This is known as semen. Semen is the mixture of sperms and the secretions from seminal vesicles and prostate glands. Thus, urethra, the passage which allows the urine to eliminate, serves as a passage for semen also. So you can see the urinary system is linked with the reproductive system. This is the reason the male reproductive system is also known as urinogenital system. The male urethra is a passage passing through the penis. This passage is serving as a common passage for the passage of semen as well as urine. The testes are external organs in male, extra abdominal organ in male. This is because sperm production requires slightly lower temperature than the normal body temperature. That is why the testes in male are extra abdominal organs or external organs. Look at the female reproductive system. The female gonads are a pair of ovaries. This is the right ovary and this is the left ovary, two ovaries. We have seen that in male reproductive system, the male gonads, testes are the external organs. Whereas, look at the ovaries. The ovaries are internal organs. They are seen inside the abdominal cavity of the female body. In female reproductive system, you can see the urinary bladder or any duct which is related to the urinary system is not shown here. This is exclusively the reproductive organs and the accessory organs. This is because the urethra in female is only for the elimination of urine. Urethra has no function related to the reproductive system. The female gonads, ovaries, release egg. Here again some differences are there. Of course, you don't have to learn in detail about it. I'm just briefing on it. In male, testes start producing sperm cells only after reaching the puberty. That is, in boys, before their puberty or their adolescence period, there is no sperm cell at all present in the testis. Whereas in the female body, the ovaries, when a baby girl takes birth, that time itself, her ovaries have many immature egg cells. Many immature egg cells are already present in the female baby's body. When the girl becomes adolescent, when she reaches puberty, her ovaries start making the eggs matured. In a month or in a period of 28 days, one of the ovaries release one matured egg into the duct called oviduct or fallopian tube. There is differences in the egg production and sperm production. Only one egg is matured and released by one of the ovaries in a period of 28 days in the female body. That also after the puberty. But before puberty also, the ovaries contain many immature egg follicles. The matured egg reaches the oviduct or the fallopian tube and it remains alive 24 to 48 hours. Look at this pear-shaped muscular part. This is the uterus. This is the uterus or womb. Uterus or womb is the muscular part shown here. The uterus is opened here. This opening of the uterus is known as cervix. Cervix is the opening of the uterus. The cervix is opened into a canal or a passage which is known as vagina. That's all about the female reproductive system. So here we have seen in female reproductive system there is no complex duct system and the reproductive system is totally separated from the urinary system, whereas in male urinary system is interlinked with the reproductive system and it is a complex system of ducts. In male testes, the male gonads start producing sperms. Spermatogenesis, production of sperms, starts only when the adolescent boy reaches puberty, that is on reproductive maturity. Whereas in female, the ovaries of the female already contains many immature egg cells or egg follicles. When a female reaches puberty, one of the ovaries produce one matured egg and release into the oviduct or the fallopian tube. Testes produce millions of sperm cells. We have seen one of the ovaries only make one matured egg in a period of 28 days, whereas the testes produce millions of sperm cells. Fate of egg released by the ovary into the fallopian tube. What happens to the egg released by the ovary, one of the ovaries, into the fallopian tube? There are two chances for the egg which is released into the fallopian tube. One is menstruation. The second is fertilization, which will lead to pregnancy. What is menstruation? You have already learned menstruation in smaller classes. if the egg is not fertilized, or if the egg does not get a chance to meet with the sperm during its lifetime when it remains in the fallopian tube, the egg dies and the dead egg is degenerated in the body itself. The dead and decayed parts of the body can be removed. There is a mechanism. So, the dead egg is degenerated or removed out of the body. Meanwhile, what happens to the inner wall of the uterus? The inner wall of the uterus gets thick due to the deposit of blood vessels and mucus, mucal layers and the blood vessels. There is a temporary thickening of the inner wall of the uterus. This is happening every month in the female body. This is actually a preparation for receiving the embryo. So, when the egg production takes place, that is, when the maturation of the egg takes place simultaneously, there will be some arrangement in the uterus also. These are all hormonal processes. By the action of the hormones, the inner wall of the uterus gets thick by the blood vessels and the mucus. These blood vessels and the mucus together start separating from the uterus wall and start shedding through the opening of the uterus. We call it cervix, and through the vaginal tract it is eliminated out of the female body in the form of a bleeding. This bleeding lasts for 4 to 7 days. This process is known as menstruation. Menstruation is commonly called periods. So, this is the case if the egg doesn't meet with the sperm. But if the matured egg, as it stays in the fallopian tube, happens to meet with a sperm, the fertilization takes place. That is the second chance. And the fertilization results in the formation of zygote, and the zygote on further division become embryo, and the embryo develops into a baby. The fate of the egg can be either menstruation or fertilization, which will lead to pregnancy. We have already seen in smaller classes these two terms, menarche and menopause. Menarche is the first menstrual bleeding in adolescent girls. That is the onset of puberty in their life. And menopause is the stoppage of menstruation when a woman reaches 45 to 50 years old. So this shows that the reproductive age is limited to certain years in female. It starts from menarche and stops at menopause. Whereas in male, the reproductive age, that is a sperm production, starts on the onset of puberty in adolescent boys, and the sperm production ends till their death. That is, they are capable of producing sperms till their death. So there is no restricted reproductive age in males, whereas in female the reproductive age starts at menarche and stops at menopause. Look at the egg. The egg is the largest cell in a human body. It has no extracellular part. It has a cell membrane or plasma membrane, cytoplasm and nucleus. The cell cannot move on its own. It does not have locomotion of its own. Whereas the sperm, which has the head and the tail, with the help of the tail, the sperms are able to move. They are able to swim through the fluid which is secreted by the seminal vesicles and the prostate glands you have seen before. So the egg is the largest cell, whereas the sperm cell is microscopic. This is the difference in their size. In the production also you have seen that only one egg gets matured in a period of 28 days by one of the ovaries in normal cases, whereas whenever the sperm production takes place, sperms are produced in millions. Egg is immotile, that is not able to move its own, whereas the sperms are motile, or they are able to move their own. A woman is said to be pregnant at the time of fertilization till the childbirth. The zygote or the fertilized egg, taking nutrition from the mother's body, oxygen and all other requirements from the mother's body through the placenta, the nutritive tissue, and undergoes rapid division and becomes embryo. In human, we have seen that the site of fertilization is oviduct or fallopian tube, isn't it? Oviduct or fallopian tube, the egg meets with the sperm. So this is the site of fertilization, and the zygote starts moving towards the uterus. The zygote starts moving towards the uterus for the further development. Now you know that the egg has no such locomotory organs. Egg is not able to move its own. So how is it moved? It is moving through the liquid in the oviduct, and the oviduct inner walls are supplied with cilia, hair-like outgrowth from the oviduct inner wall, the ciliated epithelium. With the help of the cilia pushes the zygote towards the uterus. Towards one side only the cilia moves. So the ciliated epithelium of oviduct is helping the zygote to move towards the uterus. As it moves, it keep on dividing and become a ball of cells. We call it embryo. Now the embryo reaches the uterus. In the uterus, the embryo gets attached to the uterine wall, which is already become thick due to the deposit of blood vessels and mucus. We have already discussed. So the embryo gets stuck to the uterine wall. This process is known as implantation. So in the developmental stages, the first stage is fertilization, that is the zygote formation. Fertilization. Then the second one is the implantation of the embryo in the uterus or the womb. Now the embryo starts growing. When the embryo starts showing the body parts, that is the head and the legs and the hands, that is the limbs are seen clearly, in this stage you call the embryo fetus. Then the fetus grows into a baby, a fully grown baby, after 9 months of pregnancy. In human being, the pregnancy period, that is the gestation period, is 9 months. After 9 months, the matured baby is delivered by the mother. This is known as childbirth. After the childbirth, the placenta is also eliminated out of the mother's body because that work is over. Once again, fertilization is the first step. Then implantation of the embryo in the uterus wall. The embryo becomes fetus. Fetus shows the body parts, whereas embryo is a ball of cells. Zygote is a single cell, that is a fertilized egg cell. Now the fetus develops into a baby. The complete process, the pregnancy period in human, 9 months, and the baby is delivered by the mother. After the childbirth, the placenta is also eliminated out of the mother's body. That's all about the fertilization and further processes. one of the ovaries only produce one matured egg or release one matured egg. But very rarely some exceptional cases can be there, like both the ovaries also sometimes become functional. Both the ovaries release one matured egg. That is, at the same time, both the fallopian tubes will have matured eggs. 2 eggs are ready. Now, millions of sperms are approaching for fertilization. So, through the vaginal canal, through the cervix, through the uterus wall, through the fallopian tube, the millions of sperms reach the egg. If both the eggs in both the fallopian tubes are getting a chance to be fertilized, it will lead to the production of 2 zygotes, and both the zygotes on further division can become 2 different embryos, and that will lead to the production of twins. You might have heard about identical twins and unidentical twins. So since here the twins are formed from 2 different embryos, they will be usually unidentical, or it can be a male or a female, or both can be males or both can be females. It is not must that they belong to one sex always. Whereas you might have seen identical twins. In such cases, what is happening? One egg is only fertilized by one sperm. So that leads to the production of one zygote. Zygote on further division becomes embryo. Now, in this situation, before the zygote becomes embryo, the zygote divides into 2 zygotes, and each zygote will become an embryo. Thus, from one zygote, 2 embryos are formed, and that will lead to the production of twins, identical twins. Such cases, since they are formed from one egg and one sperm, their sex will be always same. That is, the babies will be either males or females. They cannot be male or female. Thank you.